Welcome to the Teapot Reads. I'm the Teapot. This is what I'm currently reading, and I am so happy to see you today. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I promised, I think in a wrap-up, that if I ended up DNFing books, I would give them their own video where I explained why. And this is that video. It was surprisingly difficult for me to finally decide to DNF them, but they have both been sitting there staring at me, being like, Sam, are you gonna pick us up again? Or are you just gonna put us down permanently? And I decided I'm putting them down permanently. So what are those books? Those books are Children of Blood and Bone by Tony Adeyemi and The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. I want to preface this all by saying I don't think either of these are bad books, and I certainly don't think either are like offensive, I guess. Like, I've read books that I've DNF'd because they're just offensive to me. And while The Maidens has some weird aspects, it's definitely not glamorizing anything it shouldn't, and neither of them are putting a bad message out into the world. They just weren't for me, and I was kind of bored with both of them. I do think that both of them have their audience, especially Children of Blood and Bone seems to be, or it was really popular when it was coming out. So if you enjoyed either of these books, I'm really happy for you. I wish I could have. I got pretty far into both of these books before deciding, not for me. So this is just me talking about why. And honestly, I'm mostly just going to be talking about the negatives of them because they were fine except for these things, and these things were bad enough to make me put it down forever. And yes, I will be unhauling both of these books. So, Children of Blood and Bone. This was about Zaylee, her brother, a princess, and a prince. I do not remember any of their names, so that just shows how long it's been since I picked it up. But it basically, magic in this world has been destroyed to prevent the lower classes basically from rising up. If I remember correctly, that's basically what happened. It's very much an Avatar-esque world and world building. So, I mean, and character building even. So, you know how the Fire Nation destroys the airbenders? It's similar, like the royal family destroyed like magic users. And Zaylee accidentally gets her magic back. And this basically starts a whole quest. My issue, like, it all boils down to the pacing of this novel. I was at first really enjoying the fast pace. I thought it was great. I thought that by moving quickly, it was covering a lot of ground and we were getting to know a lot. And it really wasn't spending any unnecessary time describing things or building things that really wouldn't matter. But the pacing never slowed down, and I think it kept getting faster so that we didn't even get the chance to live in moments that felt important. It was killing me how fast this book was moving. It was painful to read it at the pace it was going. It felt like everything was being glossed over and that nothing mattered. And I hated that. I really, really hated that. I got this far through the book. I was on page 370 of 530. So I got really freaking far. And I just couldn't handle the pacing any longer. The world building, the character building, all of it was ruined by zooming through it. There were things that were cool, and there were characters that I liked. But things were happening, and we weren't seeing the growth towards them for characters, and the world was being built up and driven through like you're on a car ride, and the middle locations do not matter. I was bored. And I stopped caring about the characters because a character would make a decision and you're like, I guess I can kind of see how you would get there, but also it feels like you're sort of making this out of nowhere. Like, I have to really stretch and basically put things that aren't there to make it make sense sometimes. So it was incredibly frustrating. I think, again, the pacing affected how easy certain things felt. Characters would be able to accomplish things so quickly that the stakes didn't make any sense. A character would be told this is dangerous, but then 2 chapters later would have accomplished it. And it would have felt like, Was it actually dangerous? No, probably not. Because if it's done that quickly, it can't be. It just made the playing field so smooth that nothing mattered. Nothing mattered. There was also, like, magic is supposed to be, like, not around, right? But, like, the characters would, like, flash their magic. Like, maybe I missed something, but I remember a scene where Zelia was, like, fully doing magic and no one said anything. It was just like, oh, I guess that's what's happening. It's like, why? Did I miss something? Or, like, does it actually not matter? Like, what is going on? And again, I think the pacing, if something was said, it was moving, the book was moving so quickly, I wasn't able to acknowledge when little nuances like that were happening, because it was just like zoom, 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 zoom. I just wish that the book had balanced the quick pacing to get away from the unnecessary beginning parts, and then not necessarily slowed down, but just given itself time to breathe in between scenes, given the characters time to develop outside of plot, because I probably would have stuck with it then. I was thrown off and never got back on with this book. So that's what happened. Completely a victim to the pacing. And no, it's made me have zero interest in anything else the author writes, because if that's how the author writes, it's not a way I like to read. So unfortunately, yeah, not continuing this book or the series. Then we have The Maidens. This is a dark academia. It kind of sounded similar to The Secret History, but almost like looking in on The Secret History cast. It is about a therapist. What is her name? Mariana. It's about Mariana. She is a therapist. Her husband passed away somewhat recently to be the beginning of the novel, and her niece, who is very close to her and her late husband, has recently lost her friend. Her friend was killed. They were both living at the same school, and so Mariana goes to console her niece and also to investigate, and discovers that there's like a sort of secret society. So I really liked the aesthetic of this book. It made me want to visit, but it didn't make me want to visit so bad that I had to keep visiting through the book. It's pretty boring. It's a pretty boring book. I didn't get as far in this as I got in The Maidens. I got about halfway, a little less than halfway, and it was just boring on pretty much every level. Nothing was happening. There were so many male characters that were shady in similar ways that I lost track of who was who and how they were related to each other. I was like, just completely confused. And there weren't even that many characters. It was just that they were so similar to each other that I needed to like write it down, and I didn't. And I was like, well, I guess I just assume all men in this book are bad. Sure, I'm okay doing that, but like I don't think that was the intention of the novel. The dark academia aspects were on point, I guess. Again, not so on point that I had to keep living them through this book. I could have just picked up a better book and lived them through that. It was also super unrealistic. Mariana is a therapist. Yeah, she was an alumna from the school, which it's Oxford? Cambridge. It's Cambridge. She was an alumna there, but like they let her just investigate and ask questions and like do whatever she wants. Like, no, what are you talking about? She would in no reality be able to do all this. Like it was so stupid. I was like, nope, that seems wrong. Nope, that they'd never let that happen. Like, really? Why? And I mean, I ended up Googling the ending. I really wanted to know how it ended, because everyone was like, that twist. People either really liked the twist or they really hated it. And I'm so glad I didn't read it. It's such a stupid twist. I got halfway and there was nothing pointing that this could have possibly been the twist. It seems very much like it came out of nowhere. And I talked to people I knew in real life who read it and they were like, yeah, it came out of nowhere. Like, it's interesting, but like, could you have maybe layered that in somehow? And oh my god, I'm so glad. It's also a creepy twist. I don't think I would have enjoyed it in the least. So The Maidens is a no from me. Lovely cover, but it's turned me off so much. I don't think I'll ever read The Silent Patient. I just hated this. It was so boring, so unrealistic. Just again, these books weren't for me. I did, in addition to reading them physically, I was listening to them in audiobooks, trying to vibe with them that way. and that was not working either. Both the audiobook narrators were really good. I just, again, stories just were not working for me. I wish they could have. Really wish they could have. But I will be unhauling these. I will be probably selling them to half price books because sure, why not? Hopefully I don't DNF any more books this year. I don't think I will. I've got a pretty good roster headed my way, but you know, you never know if you're gonna find a book that you hate. But that's it. That's all I have to say about these books. I know it's not a super long video. I could definitely go into like spoilers and rants, but I don't want to spend that much time with either of these books. They just bored me. They were here and soon they will be forgotten and I regret nothing. So, goodbye books. Goodbye. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Even if you didn't, thanks for sticking around long enough to hear the outro. If you're somewhere warm, I hope you're staying comfortable. And if you're somewhere cold, I hope you're staying warm. Most of all, I hope you're reading a great book. I will see you guys next time. Bye!